This is TalkZach Daily number 10 for July 31st, 2019. And on today's show, I'll be discussing the reasons you really do not want to get into trucking. Stay tuned. Okay, so you love to road trip and you're beginning your journey. You decided that you want to get into trucking. Here's a few reasons why I would look away. The first is that driving school itself can be expensive. Sometimes it may be as much as $3,500, $4,000, maybe even $5,000 in some cases. Second reason is that pay is quite low when you're starting out. In some cases, you might not even bring home a paycheck at all, and in other cases, the pay is going to be only a couple $100 a week, which is just enough to cover your food, but it might not be enough to cover your actual expenses. Especially at that carrier where the 3-man team just came out, even though they announced a pay increase. Third, the training that you'll receive is lacking at best. Yes, you will get taught some stuff in CDL school, and you will get taught for a couple weeks anyway by a company-sponsored trainer. But there's just so much to learn once you start getting into trucking that it is just ridiculous how much you will learn in the first few months. And if you're not prepared to handle it, well, that training's not really going to be able to kick in because you're not getting trained on the situation, especially when it comes to emergencies. Fourth, stress. You are going to be stressed out like crazy, at least during your first few weeks. And a lot of this has to do with things like getting backed into docks for the first time, getting parking in the middle of the night, dealing with traffic jams, dealing with lousy customers. So you just may or may not be able to handle it when you first get in that truck, especially if your trainer isn't experienced and doesn't have the knowledge that he or she needs to handle you. Fifth, you will move a lot. Yes, I know I'm kind of in a position now where I can settle down, but many of you starting out are going to be going cross country. You're going to have to move to a home base, maybe perhaps even move several hundred miles in order to get a position that you're going to be able to get home from. So, for example, let's say you work for a company like mine. Oftentimes they'll require you to move to a location that's within an hour of the hub. So when the contractor calls you up, that you have plenty of time to get there with traffic, and you have to be able to leave basically at a moment's notice. So plan on packing up that family if you have one, or plan on living in a location where you're kind of close to a major city. Even if you don't, though, like if you get a farm job, for example, you're still probably going to have to move anyway at some point during your career. 6, you will gain weight during your first few weeks and months. And it's simply put, you're sitting for long hours, and truck stop food is junk food. Every pilot, Flying J, TA, Petro loves, nearly all of them do not offer healthy options. And even if they do, they're much worse than what you can get at your local grocery store. 7, health benefits don't start for 60 days or until your carrier tells you they do. What that means is when you're in that first couple months of getting trained up for your carrier or starting out the new job, that you're likely going to not have health insurance. And if something happens, you might not be covered for it. So it's important to check before you go. 8. New trucks cost over $100,000, and they break quite often. Case in point, this is the 3rd truck that I've moved into since starting out in this operation. The first couple of trucks have had problems with things like DEF systems, mandatory California compliance BS, engines, transmissions. That will ultimately break, which leads me to point number 9. Rental cars ain't cheap. And you will be renting a car every now and then to get yourself home if your boss decides not to buy you a plane ticket. And if they do buy you a plane ticket, you got all the TSA restrictions to deal with, and you risk perhaps losing some stuff. So, in any case, you're going to have to pack light. Finally, I just lost my notes here. Okay, now. Alright, it is lonely out here, especially if you're running in the middle of the night. Many of us drivers have CB radios, headsets, and heck, some of us even have video calling. But even with all that stuff, you're still gonna feel lonely every now and then. So it's important that before you start this career, that you have somebody you can call in the middle of the night, and that you have plenty of friends that you're not gonna lose. And they have to be real friends. They cannot just be the suckers, that I like to call them, or fake friends. So, realizing that you've got all those caveats to deal with, maybe trucking isn't right for you. But if you, after dealing with all those caveats, if it's still on your mind, I would recommend that you get a good trainer, a good driving school, and spend a lot of time learning about this industry before you start your first career or move. That's all, y'all. Take care, have a good night, and make your next trip your best trip. Oh, and one more thing. It's been 10 years since I got my CDL. So, if any of y'all want to leave me any messages in the comments, please feel free to do so.